Hello, everybody. This is What's Week's Mastery Moments with Dr. Steve Hoffman. I'm Dr. Chad Hawk, and we're going to talk to you today about cumulative constructive and destructive survival values, or just how you are in this world. Maybe that's a better way of saying it. What do you think, Steve?
Well, it may be a better way of saying it if you understand what that's about. If you don't understand what that's about, I think the words are of particular import. So,
jump right in.
Well, I think people understand accumulative, and I think they understand constructive or destructive. Whether we add survival value into that, I think that was a BJ-ism that may or may not play today, but are my thoughts, are my actions, are what goes into or comes out of my mouth cumulatively constructive or cumulatively destructive? Am I adding to my bank account, or am I subtracting from my bank account, whether it's finances, relationship, business, other chiropractors, as was recently duly noted. I have to comment on that, if you don't mind.
Please do.
It's a subject that I've talked about before, called whether or not someone has achieved an adult level of emotional maturity. That's really all it amounts to. Because as adolescents, as teenagers, we go through a particularly appropriate stage of putting others down in order to make ourselves big or bigger. And I say it's appropriate because it's a transition, or should be a transition stage, between being a child where you're forced essentially to do anything and everything, to rebellion, where the number one word that comes out of our mouths is no, but no, right? And then we artificially boost our stock, if you will, by squashing the people around us. But it's supposed to be a transitional stage. As we move into adulthood, somewhere along the line, we should get the idea that the only way to really raise ourselves up is to raise everyone around us up at the same time. So, comments particularly appropriate. The profession largely, unfortunately, is in an adolescent stage, but it's an adolescently aged profession. And in order to move through that passage into an adult, emotionally adult profession, we have to really look at how we can raise our brethren up rather than how we can push them down. Pushing them down is easy. The hard part is having enough respect for one another that even if we disagree, we can still elevate one another.
That's vital. And it's I never really, earlier in my life, I did not understand the idea of emotional development. I keenly understand it now because I see ways in my own life where I perhaps are stunted, and I can work diligently at overcoming those things. But as a profession, it's like we got chopped off at the knees at a certain point. We don't even know where our knees went.
Well, I hate to harp on the concept of trends, but this is not a new phenomenon. This is how the profession began, in the 1895 era. It's what the profession had to go through in the mid-30s. Certainly, we experienced a rebirth of the profession in the mid-70s from the doldrums after BJ's death in the early 60s. And we're about to go through it again. And, an unabashed plug, I think simplicity is perfectly timed, perfectly appropriate to assist in this rebirth of the profession by assisting in the rebirth of the chiropractor, by having them get and understand and embrace who they really truly are on the inside, rather than accept and embrace someone else's definition of who they ought to be. So,
it was pretty tragic. I met with a couple, husband and wife chiropractor team, just ran into them. Didn't know who they were. I mean, apparently we're Facebook friends, but they knew a lot about me. I didn't know anything about them. And within 2 minutes, the tears, the waterworks, everything going on, because they're relatively new in practice. They understand chiropractic, but they have no idea who they are in this profession. No idea. None. And you know what? It ties into what my past video was on, and that is, I don't think a lot of people, no, that's not appropriate to say. I think that some people from the stage, they don't know who they are.
right.
They may have been incredibly successful. They may have accumulated a lot of stuff, but they've lost their heart.
Yeah, that's right. Well, I know the couple that you're talking about, and I'm absolutely 100% delighted that you guys ran into one another, because they're absolutely ready for you.
Well, I think a lot of people are ready for this.
Yes.
I don't think that it's an isolated event. In fact,
No.
if I wasn't investing all of my time, energy, and effort with the rest of the 4 guys who are joining me on this, you, Dustin, Chris, and Tom, I would want this for myself. The thing is, I'm having to go through the pain of trying to develop it and learn it on my own as I go. It's not something natural for us almost in this society we live in. And it's that process of digging down and self-examination through a constructive lens. There we go. Constructive, not destructive, right? An accumulative, constructive lens of evaluation, not just picking on myself and trying to make myself bad or good. It's who am I, and can I bring that person higher? I think so.
I think so too. Hey, listen, I got to tell you, I think that the 4 of you are completely, perfectly chosen for this task, because, and I want to clear up for our viewers, the challenge for you isn't really getting in touch with who you are, because you know who you are. And the challenge isn't for Dustin to get in touch with who he is. He knows who he is. And Tom knows who he is. And Chris knows who he is. The issue is you all got there in a somewhat different way. And you all took somewhat different paths to find that out. And even though there may be a common string or a common denominator that anybody and everybody could embrace, to have 4 people all arrive at the mountaintop, taking different paths to get there, creates an incredible degree of freedom for the people who also want to get to the mountaintop, knowing that you're going to help them find their best path rather than come follow me.
That's I don't know why, but it's making me kind of emotional right now, because
Good.
because the event comes, it starts. Look, the guys fly in Thursday night, and I'll tell you one thing that's being left behind for each and every one of us is negative ego. This is not about banging your chest. It is about being the paraclete for a person. And the word paraclete means to stand beside or with somebody, no matter what they're going through. And that's what we want to do to our fellow brothers and sisters in this profession. We are going to stand with you. We may not have all the answers. We have some of the answers that we can give to you and help you along the path. But together, we're going to solve this problem of feeling inadequate or insecure or not having the right principles or philosophy down in place, so you have something firm to stand on and move forward. And being able to do that as a profession is very unifying. Maybe not as a profession, because it's not right for everybody. I mean, it might be right. They're just not ready. But yet, that is key. But it's a level, there's a compassion to it as well. An appropriate compassion.
Well, I'll give you another way of looking at this, similar concept. I see you guys as stone sweepers. Do you know what the concept of a stone sweeper is? Well,
Share.
yeah, well, if I'm carrying the cross, I really would appreciate somebody out in front of me sweeping the stones out of my way. So, and now I'm getting emotional. So,
people, if you're watching this, this is what to take away. It's okay to care so much about something that it moves your heart, and it doesn't have to just happen, back in a back room somewhere. It can be put out for the world to see, and having a level of vulnerability in your life can be incredibly freeing. I guarantee you, 10 years ago, I would not have the same discussion with Steve. I wouldn't.
Well,
I wouldn't.
Fortunately, we've been through what we've been through in order to be where we are, which is going to be really helpful to get where we're going.
Yeah, C.S. Lewis has a great line on this, and I love it. In fact, if you've ever seen the old Anthony Hopkins, Deborah Winger movie, Shadowlands, which is a story of his life, I don't even know if you can get it now, but it's incredibly powerful. There's a line in there where he is in a church and he's sharing a message, and he talks about the idea of God being the stonecutter and chipping away the image that's in with you, very much like what we've heard from Michelangelo, right? Being able to remove the things that are inside and bring it out. Well, that process hurts the stone. It hurts the stone. But if it wasn't done, the stone would just be a block of stone, and it wouldn't have the image, the person I am, be able to be expressed as I should be to this world. And honestly, it's not a lot of stone, I think, for me. It's a lot of stuff I've put on myself. Mm-hmm. And I just need to get rid of it. I really do. Because I'm not a very good version of myself, trying to make myself something I am not.
Yeah, well, and that goes back to the original concept behind MC2.
Yes.
Of knocking the biggest blocks of interference off the system as quickly as we can. And what you and I have talked about for a while now is taking a tonal technical concept and applying it to a tonal business and practice model, which was the birth of simplicity.
It really is. In fact, the original word for it that you had chosen was the art of tonal. And the art is not necessarily on the table. That's a component of it. The art is also how you run your life, how you do your business, how you are in relationships, which gave birth to the 5 components of simplicity. It's discovery. Who are you? It's certainty. It's clarity. It's relationships. And then it's celebration.
I'm so glad you included that last piece. It's probably the one word that I say more often than anything else. So, oh, you had a great week. Did you celebrate?
Yeah, really. Look, I'm going to have a big, tall glass of water.
Yeah, did you celebrate? But you know what? The celebration takes place between one's ears. There's a big difference between this is my 7th glass of water today and I'm unconscious about it versus I've been digging holes in the sand in Mexico for the last 8 hours and I'm so dry I don't know what I'm going to do next and getting that glass of water.
That's exactly right.
So
that's exactly right. Well, we've covered a lot on these calls. I hope people have stringed together these several different ones and watched them as a totality. And I'll try maybe even post it all as one video separately on our Chiropractic Mastery YouTube page. Please join. Please be part of that. Thank you for your attention during this time. And thank you, Steve, for the subtle way and sometimes the bold way that you change this profession.
Well, and thank you for adding a cumulative constructive value to me and to everyone you touch. So good on you.
All right, everybody, contact us. Dr. Steve at drstevehoffman.com and Chad at drchadhawk.com. We'll see you next week. Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye-bye.